Good morning, everybody, and a very warm welcome to you all, and thank you for taking the time to join this webinar, FinTech meets InsurTech, an unprecedented alliance in SME services. My name is Matthew Toombs, and I'm a sales consultant at CRIF Decision Solutions, and I'll be hosting the webinar today. You'll find out more about CDS and Strands in a moment, but first, let me introduce you to my colleagues joining me today, Bilal Assad and Richard Wilson. Bilal is the Senior Relationship Manager at CRIF Decision Solutions. Bill?
Morning.
And we've also got Richard, who's the pre-sales consultant at Strands, a fintech company that joined the CRIF group last year. Morning, Richard.
Good morning.
So today, Richard and Bilal will give you a sneak peek of how banks and insurance companies together can leverage data to offer both a better assessment and also empower their SME customers by providing an added value joint propositions. If you do have any questions throughout, you should see an attendee called Webinar Host on the right side of your screen. So if you can use the chat box and put any questions to Webinar Host, and we'll have a Q&A section where we can pick these up later on. And finally, at the end of this session, we'll give you a few details about an exclusive ebook that we're delighted to share with you for free after the webinar. But for now, I'll pass over to Richard and Bilal.
Thanks, Matt. Firstly, let me thank you all again for attending today's webinar. As Matt already mentioned, my name is Bilal Assad, and I'm the Senior Relationship Manager here at CRIF. Now, in today's webinar, I aim to give you as much exposure about the importance of innovation in your business and the reality of how FinTech and InsurTech meet. But before we do this, allow me myself to give you a brief introduction about CRIF and Strands. CRIF is a global company. We specialize in providing credit bureau and business information, along with risk management and credit solutions. Our headquarters in Italy, where we were established in 1988, have grown to be more than 5,700 employees, operate in 4 continents, and we're serving hundreds of thousands of customers. In continental Europe, we are a leading provider of banking credit information, and globally, we are one of the key players providing solutions for businesses and commercial information. For 8 consecutive years, we've been included in the prestigious FinTech 100, a ranking of the leading global technology solution providers to the financial services industry. And CRIF have been operating in the UK for almost 25 years. We provide added value solutions such as information services, customer profiling, digital solutions to support decision management, fraud prevention, and digital transformation. I hope to give you some background about CRIF, and let me have Richard to give you more information about Strands.
Thanks, Bill. So Strands was founded in 2004 and joined the CRIF family in April 2020. Specialized in big data, AI, and machine learning, and creating highly customized financial management solutions for our customers worldwide in both the retail and SME segments. So we enable banks to anticipate their customer needs and provide them with the next best action through personalized insights, improving engagements and customer interactions. So while empowering people to better manage their lives and businesses and to make better financial decisions in a smarter way through a number of techniques and features such as cash flow predictions, financial calendars, dashboards, insights, and so on. So Strands customers include Tier 1 banks around the globe, but also smaller financial institutions that are focused on customer experience and engagement.
Thanks, Richard. So both CRIF and Strands have a real focus on digital transformation. And as a result of this, we are an end-to-end solution provider to various institutions. We cover all aspects of the client journey, ranging from customer onboarding to business development, and pretty much everything in between. But the focus today is engagement. This is a parameter in which both Digital Booster and the BFM Engager solutions sit. But to give some more context, Digital Booster falls within the InsurTech side, and BFM Engager will fall on the FinTech side. Let me hand back to Richard to take you for our first poll.
Great, thanks. So today we'll be holding 2 polls, and with the first poll being on the subject of personalization. So what we want to do is just get your opinion on personalization, and what percentage of customers would consider switching banks due to lack of personalization. So we'll give you about 30 seconds to cast your vote, and if you could just do that, it would be much appreciated. Great. So And so a number of you voted, and thanks for your votes. And as we can see, 40% of customers, which is I think quite a high percentage when you consider where personalization has come from. So a few years ago, people weren't interested in sharing the information, but that's all changing, and we can see that personalization is something that is driving a lot of activity, and people that are less wary for personalization. So previously, customers really don't want that that mass mail approach where you're saturating markets or sending emails and that are just to the general public. So personalization, as we can see, has become quite an essential part where almost half of customers would actually leave their bank to get that personalization, which leads us into our next slide, which is the Strands Engager. So the Strands Engager product is our insight engine, which is doing just that for people. We're transforming data into relevant and timely insights. So we categorize and enrich this data and run these through our models that we have developed, detecting recurring patterns, understanding behavior changes, and predicting likely outcomes, providing people with insights that are relevant to them at the right moment and actions that are meaningful and appropriate to that insight. So our insights are driven by customer behavior and spending patterns. And although we also target specific audiences, providing customers with personalization takes customer engagement to the next level, improving customer perception and increasing the satisfaction of our customers.
Amazing. So Rich has gone through obviously the Engager solution, and that is the FinTech side of today's webinar. Now let me take you through Digital Booster and what it is, and that focuses more on the InsurTech side. So first question, what is Digital Booster? Digital Booster is an insurance enabling platform, which is there to support both banks and insurance companies to either improve the existing insurance distribution offering or support the implementation of a new one. Customers' needs are changing and evolving every day, and existing methods of distribution being offered by banks and insurance companies are not effective. And this is one of the reasons why Digital Booster came into existence. Digital Booster is there to provide a white labeled solution, allowing both banks and insurance companies to accelerate the implementation of fully digital insurance proposition. For example, if a customer banks with a bank is looking to purchase an insurance product, when they're purchasing through their web-based application or phone-based application, they'll remain in the bank's world. So the look and feel would remain of the bank. This can vary and change on a case-by-case basis. Some banks would have partnerships with insurance companies, so they would want the customers to travel from their bank to the insurance company's portal, and we can allow this journey to occur through single sign-on, as with other things as well. So essentially, customer security is paramount in this, and this is why we aim to offer we do offer a white label solution to our customers. The focus for Digital Booster is to support innovative insurance products such as on-demand insurance, microinsurance, and parametric insurance. Why? With the support of some consultancies such as Bain, PwC, and Deloitte, we're able to share two interesting statistics with yourself. Firstly, 85% of millennials believe that insurance policies do not cover their true needs, which is quite interesting. And the second one is 82% of customers would actually change their insurer if the right. And this is where Digital Booster really comes into play and really penetrates the market by providing customers with the right insurance product at the right time based upon their own behavior. The platform itself has an easy API integration for both products and the platform. The customer is able to provide a first notification of loss within the app or web-based application. The platform is able to do customer profiling, and this utilizes the built-in machine learning and AI capabilities. And with an easy API integration, you're able to practically create new and innovative products in a very short amount of time. Now, you can see on the screen the right-hand side the numbers. We already have 25 plus insurance templates readily available, and as a result of this, we're able to deliver an end-to-end solution within approximately 4 months, but this can vary depending on complexity. And the best part is Digital Booster is not an idea, it's live and working in 20 plus banks and insurance companies, which I feel is really, really important to mention. So we've now obviously gone through Engager on the FinTech side and Digital Booster on the InsurTech side, but what we're going to discuss now is how does FinTech and InsurTech actually meet? So with the collaboration of the Strands BFM Engager solution, coupled with CRIF's Digital Booster platform, it has allowed us to have the edge on what was needed to ensure FinTech and InsurTech meet. Leveraging the banking data provided by the BF Engager solution and using the advanced capability Digital Booster platform, we're now able to significantly impact the customer journey in a positive light, which in turn allows both the bank and insurance company to truly innovate their business. The best way to illustrate this is by a jigsaw on the left-hand side of the screen. It's there to highlight that with all four components pieced together, the collaboration of FinTech and InsurTech is possible. The Engage and Digital Booster platform integrated allows a unique solution which can allow both the bank and insurance company to quickly expand their core product portfolios. As we discussed, innovation is key in Digital Booster and Strands. So our focus is to promote this as much as possibly can. And this is the reason why Digital Booster came into existence. Now, with this integration, you're really able to boost cross-selling and revenues essentially from one single application, which is fantastic. So the data provided by Engager platform allows us to uncover hidden customer needs that maybe both the customer and the bank or insurance company wouldn't know about. By understanding customer or consumer behavior and promoting both a reactive and proactive approach, the insight then allows the user to have the right insurance product promoted to them at the right time. Now, I'm sure you can all agree, we could have the best platform out there with all the data out there that you need, but unless the journey of the client is smooth, easy, and adaptable, then the penetration levels won't be impacted. And this is essentially where Digital Booster really plays its part. We aim to provide a totally end-to-end digital solution that allows the client to purchase an insurance policy within a few clicks and get covered instantly. We'll show you how this journey works and the use cases coming up later on in the webinar. But for now, let me hand back to Richard, who'll take you through the ecosystem in which Digital Booster and Engager sit within.
Great, thanks, Bill. So how does this really look? So we're using our Engager solution and providing this white label financial management solutions and insights into the financial institutes' digital channels. And these can be in-push or in-app. This is done by using customized widgets and APIs that allow our customers to present this information, using their own user experience, their tone of voice, and their own look and feel. So insights are triggered when the customer activity matches the logic, understanding the customer needs and providing with the actions that are relevant to them. With the ability to provide them with different actions, and these can include educational content, actions such as transferring money and applying for products that meet their needs, and that's where Engager and Digital Booster come together.
Yeah, exactly. I think as per the flow you can see here on the ecosystem, you realize that at this point, Digital Booster comes into play. But actually, in fact, Digital Booster had already come into play when the first trigger was activated by the customer. In this ecosystem, the Digital Booster platform has all the InsurTech enabling services available. These services have the capabilities to interact directly with the insurance company, and this is where it really comes to life. This interaction access to real-time quotes, products, claims, first notification of loss, and so on. The actual insurance product will be co-designed with the bank. This is why on the top of this slide, you can see the arrow going essentially from right to left. The client journey itself naturally flows from left to right. But what we're trying to highlight here is that when the customer journey starts and the data insights are collected and the triggers come into play, we're able to intercept and understand the customer's needs and requirements. Because I'm sure you can all agree, we don't wake up in the morning thinking about what insurance policy we need to take out. So this is where Digital Booster really comes in and plays its part. It allows us to utilize our insurance enabling platform that is designed to push the right insurance product to the customer at the right time. As mentioned, because CRIF and Strands have the technology to intercept the customer's needs, this is what allows us to build such an ecosystem and work based on the customer's needs and requirements, as opposed to just passing things through for the sake of passing them through. And this is fundamentally where FinTech and InsurTech meet. Now let me hand back to Richard to take you through our next poll.
Thanks, Phil. So our second poll is focused on SMEs and their perception of how they've been treated by their banks. So again, if you can just spend 20 seconds just to give us your vote, that would be much appreciated. Great, thank you. So So this one surprised me. I know that the SME market segment has been underserved previously, but I really thought things were improving. And over 90% of SMEs feel that they're unfairly treated by their banks, which just shows, although this is a focus on the market, we still have a long way to go with the services and things that we're providing to the SME market. So if we look at, and that is why today's focus on the use cases will focus on SME and some of the use cases that we'll go through today. So we've heard what Engage is doing and Booster, but we just wanted to give you some simple use cases just to walk you through that process to understand, exactly how this is coming together in a real life example. So Sally is an art dealer who has a business account and travels a lot. So what we're doing here is understanding her needs, and when she does travel again or has some travel related spend, and that could be hotels, it could be the flight, it could be actually a merchant such as Eurostar. So once we identify these transactions and her sort of upcoming travel, we will then trigger this insight and present her with something that's relevant to her at that moment, when she is in the market or when it is front of mind, that she is traveling soon. So this insight will be presented to her with the information and a couple of actions that she can action that are relevant to that information and the time that she's actually making these transactions and purchasing. And this is where a recommendation to that insurance, such as travel insurance that is relevant, will start, and where the digital booster process will begin.
Richard. So as Richard mentioned, once we get the insight, that triggers the notification to the client and prompts them to explore the option of taking out some travel insurance. So in the case of Sally, she's gone off and she's looking to go to Atlanta for 6 days, I think it is, and she's traveling alone. So the quote comes up instantly in real time. And then once Sally's confirmed the price, she can go over to her information. Now through single sign-on, all the information is pre-populated for her. So there's no need for her to add in additional information or type it all in, which saves the customer a lot of time. So once obviously the details are all confirmed, you can then hop on to the next slide. Once Sally's confirmed the details and she's gone through the terms and conditions, the IDD and so on, confirm the price, confirm what she's been getting, she can buy the policy, and that cover is instantly put in place for Sally. And within a few minutes after that has gone through, she'll receive an email with all the documentation that she requires for the travel. So the journey really is digital, and it's a very quick process of the client to be covered instantly as well. So let's assume, obviously in the scenario that Sally hasn't actioned the first trigger, what would happen? Now, due to the advanced capabilities of our solution, we're able to utilize or leverage her geolocations. So if Sally follows and missed the first trigger, and as she's arrived at the airport, and this scenario she's at Heathrow, she'll get a second prompt. If she's there for more than 10 or 15 minutes, the solution will naturally feel that she's taking a flight somewhere. So they'll prompt her once again to, remind her, has she got travel insurance? Have you got travel insurance? Yes or no? And if they don't, while she's checking her luggage or while she's in the queue waiting for a flight, she can pretty much get herself insured almost instantly with the cover. So if you can see the journey itself, it follows through the exact same process. It'll be the same location, duration, amount, confirmation of details, and the policy is activated. And this really gives the client peace of mind that, they have been prompted at the right time to take up the right insurance for their travel requirements in this scenario.
Thanks, Bill. So the first insight was really focused around the end user. And what we've done at Strands is also develop a business tool called our back office tool, which is providing customers with a dashboard and a sort of system overview of how it's performing. So how many insights have been triggered, how many of those have been viewed, what actions have been taken, and that feedback that's actually happening on those insights. So we can see here, we've got some metrics that are presented, as well as what insights are getting the best feedback and maybe some that aren't performing as well as expected. So this tool will give the business users the ability to understand what's happening on a system level or on an insight level. And they can also have a look at these insights that maybe aren't performing as expected and maybe adjust the content or change an action to improve those performances and just really get the system to run as expected. So for this next use case, what we're going to do is walk you through that business user at the bank that would actually be creating this insight for a new example. So we have the employee at the bank that would click on the right there to create an insight. What we can see here is the insights that we have in the system that are live. You can create that insight and start populating some of the fields. So the previous example was Sally around travel insurance. During the pandemic, people might not be traveling as much, but things like cyber insurance are really starting to get some focus and need a lot of attention, where customers are actually needing that extra bit of protection and maybe are not covering themselves as well as they should. So for this example, we've got the title that you can put in, what you want to call this insight. The description would allow you to put in a high-level description so that the next employee or person can actually understand what this insight's doing at a high level. We have the ability to add tags. So for instance, for this one, we could add insurance as a tag, so that when you want to search for the insurance sub insights, we can actually then group those together and see what's live and what we have on the system at that moment. I did actually miss the top. There is an active toggle. So this is where we can activate and deactivate these insights dependent on what you want to do. We have a lot of other, sort of priority tabs where we can prioritize the messages above others, because what we're doing is sort of giving these insights priority so that we're not saturating those channels, and these might be sent before something else that might maybe have less importance. And again, so this is just a basic example. So what we're looking at now is creating that trigger and the event. So this one, we're looking at a category, and it's actually a subcategory. So under utilities, we'll then select service provider and look for some keywords around, maybe who some of those providers are in the transactions themselves. So we could, look for Wix or GoDaddy or Squarespace. So once we've, decided on the triggers and what we want to do to trigger this insight, we can start, compiling that message and getting that content together. So we'll create that content to convey that message, and these messages can include variables so that you can personalize them and make them, the tone as you would like, and get the message across to your customers. On the back of that, we have some actions that we can create, and these actions again, we could add, single or multiple actions. And we could create one where there's some education or some learn more, where we can provide additional information about what we're trying to send to that customer, or in this case, provide them with the correct insurance and an action that they can do that's going to actually help them and provide them with that next steps and get them covered on this journey. We also at the bottom do have an audience section where we can select different audiences, and this could be the full population or certain segments that we want to target. So once we've created all that, and that spend or that activity matches that trigger, the end user again would get this notification. They'll be presented with the insight with those options that we have provided through the actions. We can also have a feedback mechanism at the bottom to see if customers are interacting with these and understand that from the metrics in the dashboard. But once they click buy insurance, again, that will follow the same journey as we saw with Sally, where that single sign-on will kick in. We'll have those or that populated screens, and that insurance will be purchased almost instantaneously.
That's brilliant, Richard. Thanks for that. So as you guys can see now that the collaboration of the Engager tool and Digital Booster coming together really does work, and it creates a very interesting customer journey. Now, in the days leading up to the webinar, Richard and I had a few meetings to discuss what additional use cases should we discuss. And let's just say we had quite a few come up. So if we were to go through all of them, we'd go way beyond the allotted time for today's webinar. But what we can do is take you through some additional use cases that we feel would really work. Now, today's focus has been mostly on SMEs, but Digital Booster and the Engager solution does go beyond that. Now, another use case that I find very interesting is pet insurance, because there are several triggers that can prompt and alert the customer into giving them a potential solution for pet insurance. Now, this is leveraged by what we call geolocation. So as you saw in the use case 1, where Sally was at the airport, Heathrow Airport, boarding her flight, it's the same way. So we can base the fact that Sally may have a pet, and she has gone into a pet shop or into a vet, and we can essentially leverage that location to say, right, Sally's gone in, let's assume that she has a pet, and let's prompt her to say, have you recently reviewed your pet insurance? The point we're trying to make is that the integration of this solution is so versatile, it can quite easily, or we can quite easily explore other markets.
Yeah, I agree, Bill. And I think also with the vet example, we can also understand if a customer's maybe transacted at that vet, and that would be a good time, after having maybe a sort of high spend on your pet, that, maybe insurance cover for pet insurance would have saved them some money. So that's another time when we could approach them, through a transaction at a vet or the like, that we could then, be more relevant at that time. And there's other examples in retail that and business that almost cross over, where we're looking at the travel example for Sally that could be on business or personal, and similarly with phone insurance and other insurances like that, really.
Yeah, so just jump off that, Richard, as well. So with phone insurance, it's a great solution because obviously a lot of SMEs naturally have phones, so do individuals. But we can take it one step further and also look at doing gadget insurance as well. So to protect your tablets and iPads and laptops and so on. So this is just another example of how the two cross over from the SMEs and corporate world into retail as well.
Yeah, I think also to note, that we're talking not only about insurance insights here, but the Engager product and why it's so effective is it's not just providing, a single type of insights. We're also looking at providing, from our library, different insights on customer behavior. So, and again, a lot of them are proactive around a low balance and providing an option to increase your overdraft or transfer money from a different account, understanding large deposits that are coming in and maybe offering a savings product. But there's other things like recurring payments that should have come in that haven't landed, and providing customers with this information and helping them along their way to be financially sound and build that trust, so that when one of these more sort of insurance type insights or slightly upselling insights come in, customers do, and they are relevant at that time, and people are taking the time to look at it and actually understand that this is a need that they can address. So I think it's quite a powerful thing, looking at that relevant timing and making sure that we're addressing customer needs when we do. And another use case that we've also looked at and are doing is integrating third-party data. So with partnership with CRIF, we're including open banking data, but also we've been integrating into accounting vendors for invoicing data. So I think, again, we're looking at providing insights around invoices that are due or overdue and understanding what's outstanding. And then on the back of this, we could also provide some invoice protection type insurance too. So the use cases, like we said, are quite endless.
Well, just to add a few more, Richard, because I think I'm so tempted to do so. What we could also discuss is also things like legal insurance, builders insurance, contents insurance, to focus more, should we say, on the SME space, but builders and contents can also work in the personal space as well.
Yeah, and I think on the builders insurance too, and those ones that are more specific to a market, we can also target certain audiences. So although we do recommend looking at the customer behavior, we can target certain audiences so that you can change that content and you can be more targeted in your approach. So, we have different tools that can enable us to be more accurate with our targeting too.
Exactly. I'm sure the cogs are turning right now. You can think of many, many more use cases because they really are. And there's so many different ways we can leverage this and improve the customer journey. But as mentioned, the solution is versatile and it can expand into many other markets. So now let me hand back to Matt to carry on the next segment of the meeting today, or the webinar today.
Okay, thanks, Bill. Thanks, Richard. Yeah, I think that was a really interesting, insightful presentation there. Certainly for me, it brings a lot of those use cases really bring to life, the benefits for, I guess, the end consumer from personalization and, a streamlined customer journey. But I think also on the bank side, it really gives an opportunity to strengthen those relationships. So, yeah, they were the really two key takeaways for me there. So, okay, so we've got a slot now to go through some questions that have come in. We'll try and get through as many as we can, but if anyone wants to follow up with Richard or Bill individually, their contact details will be on screen throughout this section. Okay, so the first one we've had come in: can we work with any insurance provider? So I assume that's from the bank perspective. So Bill, do you want to take this one? Does there have to be something already pre-arranged in terms of a relationship with the insurer, or can that be really open?
Great question. The answer is both, actually. So some customers of ours prefer to essentially have a plug and play solution where they want to pick the insurance they want to provide to the customers, and they want us to go away and find the underwriters for that product, and we can do that for them. Whereas some customers prefer to have a specific insurer that they want to work with. and we can link our APIs to that insurer to provide that seamless customer journey as well. So it is a great question, but our aim is to, or what we can do, is provide solutions in both ways to specific insurers or to a bespoke rate that we can select for them in advance.
Okay, so yeah, really it's down to the client then, I guess, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Okay. The next one we've had come in is, can we share any numbers or experience of how this solution has benefited a client? So, Richard, maybe we start with you on this one. What can you share in terms of kind of success stories and things like that?
Yeah, so we've seen with personalization that the time in app doubles, logins increase, because customers are actually getting something that's insightful and relevant to them. So they're looking for that next insight or that next bit of information. And on the back of that, trust increases, and that's the customer satisfaction's increasing, which leads to, retention and stickiness at the bank. And also we've seen NPS scores increase by 30 points at banks. So it's really, providing them with the ability to personalize that, and actually we're seeing, CSATs and NPS scores and everything increasing. And not just that, but then, these new features, drawing new customers to the bank because, of word of mouth or just people actually enjoying that experience. Okay,
thanks, Richard. And Bill, do you have any experience from, I guess, the more digital booster side or anything you can share there?
Absolutely. So in many conversations with our clients that we've had so far with banks and insurance companies, banks more so, the levels of penetration are very, very low. As I mentioned at the start of the webinar today, that the existing method of distributions aren't as effective as they used to be. So I've seen levels of penetration as low as 1% in some banks, should we say. With Digital Booster, as it is a live platform and it is out there, we see penetration levels of about 30%, which is massive compared to where a lot of the other institutions stand at the moment. And the reason why is because it allows the customer to be pushed to purchase the right product at the right time, as opposed to just have adverts coming up for insurance. If it's targeted to the client for their specific need and they're in the right frame of mind at that point, then we can essentially work with the client to provide them with the insurance platform or the insurance product they need. And this is why 30% is such a high number compared to the 1s and 2s and 3% I've seen already with other institutional clients.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Richard. Another question we've had is around, I guess, around the IT effort, so the implementation side of things. And I think, Bill, you may have mentioned this, but maybe if you could just go back and revisit that. So in terms of bringing a new product a digital booster product into the Engager platform, what's the timeline for that, roughly?
No, sure. So to create any new products, I'm sure you can agree, obviously, having had several conversations with various institutions, it can take quite a long time. There's quite a long product roadmap in place. With Digital Boost, on the other hand, we can essentially provide a end-to-end solution within about 4 months. But this, as I mentioned, this can vary depending on the complexity of the product. So if it is a travel insurance product, it may be less than 4 months. But if it's maybe a motor-related product, it could be more than 4 months. It all depends on, how much information and the API integrations that are required for the solution to come into light. But our aim would be to get a product from conception to market live on the platform within the space of 4 months.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks, Bill. Richard, anything to add there, or?
Yeah, I mean, similar. We went through the back office tool, so we can turn that around very quickly. So as soon as we have those actions to target, I mean, we can. That's within days. We can less than days. We can actually get those journeys going.
Perfect. Brilliant. So I think we've spoken a lot about kind of bringing new policies and new insurance products, pushing them towards customers based on certain triggers. What about when it comes to renewals, and can we identify that? And again, thinking about the timing of introducing that to the end user, the client or the SME. Is there something around that the solution provides? I don't know, Richard, maybe that's one for your side.
Yes, so I think on that question, we do look at data in the past, and we're looking up to a year of data. So I think we could definitely start looking at, have there been 10 transactions? Depending on when we want to approach that customer, we can then say, this might be the right time. There's been 10 transactions through on the account, and that could be the bank's account or open banking data, I guess. But yeah, we could definitely look at, looking at renewals and offering, comparisons. So that's, we have focused on new insurances, but there's definitely the option to look at different triggers, and those options are quite flexible. They're adding different triggers to look for different opportunities.
And that's all done, I guess, through the open banking side of things, isn't it, right, with the transactions?
Yeah, I mean, that could be the bank's data or the open banking data, but using that back office tool to really, create that trigger, or working with our team to create.
Perfect. I think we may have mentioned this, but just it might be worth mentioning again. So our white label solutions available? Bill, do you want to take this one first?
Absolutely. Yeah, so no, our solution is totally white label. So it's just there to ensure that the customer has the same look and feel of the bank that they bank with, to make sure that they're in the same environment and to provide that added level of security as well. So the solution for Digital Boost itself is completely white labeled.
Okay, and Richard, the same for the Engager tool, right?
Yes, exactly. So we've got some widgets that can be customized to have the bank's look and feel, and the mini widgets too. So and those can be placed, within the app. Or we've also got a library of APIs that bank can use, that data we're sending them to position that wherever they want and have their own user experience. So we're very flexible in how we deploy, but that's all white label, yes.
Okay, perfect. And maybe one final question before we close this section. In terms of geographies and where the solution can work, is there any limitations to that? I think the focus here is more on Europe with insurances and through the Digital Booster platform with Engager. Have we got any limitations there?
No, not at all. So I mean, we've got deployments across the globe. So there might be some differences in some categorization, but we have the ability to learn that and to train those models, to adjust to different geographies. So there's no limitations from the Engager point of view. We looking at those triggers, understanding that behavior, and then providing people with those insights at the right time.
And yeah, just to echo that as well, same with Digital Booster applies. There aren't limitations at all whatsoever. Geolocation wise can still pick up locations of airports and vets and ski resorts, etc., to really target customers in the right way. And with the collaboration of Engager and Digital coming together, we can still leverage the data no matter where they are and push out the right time for the right client.
Okay, perfect. So I'm just conscious of time, guys, so we'll probably leave the questions there. If we haven't got round to answering any of your questions yet, please don't worry, we'll follow up with you offline and make sure all of those are answered. But before we kind of close this webinar, I wanted to take this opportunity to talk to you about a project I mentioned earlier on. So over the last few months, we've been working on an ebook that you'll see on screen now, where we address the possibilities that collaboration between banks and insurance companies can bring. So as we've seen and heard today, strategic partnerships have proven to be one of the best ways to overcome some of the global economy challenges, but also an opportunity to bring innovative solutions to the market. And in the financial service industry in particular, I think open banking has the potential to create a really exciting and dynamic collaborative ecosystem where alliances will enable the sharing of best practice and enable that to bring high value solutions to customers. So titled FinTech Meets InsurTech, our ebook, which you'll receive shortly after the webinar, focuses on exactly that and how partnerships between the banks and insurance companies has the potential to unlock huge value, and I guess especially in the SME market segment. So you'll find exclusive articles, case studies and interviews with some of the top execs from CRIF and Strands. So we hope you enjoy that, and please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions or comments. And finally, I'd like to just say that we've got a short feedback survey that will be sent out. If you could take the time to complete that and provide any comments, we would very much appreciate that. So I think we've given you back a little bit of time today. So you've got time before your next meeting to grab a drink and have a short break and answer those emails. So it's been a real pleasure. Thank you for joining, and I hope you all have a great day.